As far as why we use what we use in regards to mailing, I've gone through a lot of different possibilities, pretty much what any other agent has gone through. We've used, the white envelope, the wedding style envelope, the black envelope, the clear envelope. We've done flyers, we've done things in the newspaper, we've done all types of different marketings in the past, and I never got the response that I wanted to get. And so I finally went to a friend of mine, and it was one of the who do you know things, and they said, you need to talk to this particular gentleman here in Dallas. And he has a company, and he's done a lot of large accounts, major accounts across the nation, and he'll have probably an outside of the industry view. And that was important to me because not to disparage the industry at all, but the industry normally says do this or do that and we'll mail it for you and then you'll get your response. Well, we weren't getting the response that we normally get, and I hear that from agents now currently across the nation. So I went to this guy and I said, I laid all of them out in front of us and I said, which one of these would you use? Here's everything that I've used, which one of these would you use? And he looked at me really quickly and didn't even fudge, and he said, I'd use none of them. I said, really? I said, okay, I guess that answered that question. If none of them, I said, may answer why I'm getting the response I've got. I said, what would you use? And he said, and he pulled up and he said, I would use something like this. This is a card that is already open. It's oversized. He said it needs to be color and it needs to be informative, but it needs to have a hook. He said, number one, he said, the average individual, when you or I are sorting through our mail daily, you have about 5 seconds that you're looking at a piece of mail and you're deciding whether to read it, open it, or trash it. This is already open. It sticks out from everything else. Again, it's full color, but it's already open. And no matter which side it is, it's open. He said, so you need the hook. The hook is the restaurant. We happen to use Ruth Chris. Now, Ruth Chris is a high-end restaurant, but that also helps in weeding a lot of people out. And so there's a reason for everything that we do. So we put Ruth Chris. He said you need to have the restaurant on both sides of the card. So we have it here. We also have it here as well. After that, you need to have some bullet points that will make your workshop stand out. Notice I didn't say seminar, because there's a difference between seminar and a workshop. In a seminar, most people sit and they get to listen. In a workshop, it's interactive, and we keep our workshops very interactive, where we're talking with them, but we're also asking questions, we are soliciting responses, and we encourage them to ask questions during the workshop. And all of that is usually a little bit different from what I'm normally hearing. Usually people are saying, keep all your questions to the end. We don't do that. We encourage them to ask questions. So the information, this card is probably gone through at least 20 metamorphoses. This is not a first time it's evolved as topics have evolved, as current events have evolved. Right now, a big one is taxes. A lot of people are worried about taxes going up, and so we want to make sure that there are some things on there, such as tax-free income. Not just income stream planning, but tax-free income stream planning. Different estate things different things that are going to affect your estate. We try to put those type of things on this card. It's not a sales card. The food is the hook, but the card is to get them to the place and the location and to tease them on what's going to happen inside that workshop that particular night. So this is what I use, and it's worked very well. People are many times asking what sets some of our workshops apart compared to maybe others. We normally set 78% of our room. We've actually done that the last 2 years. That doesn't mean we've sold 78, but we have set 78% of the room. And we feel the reason we do that is because we don't bombard people with a bunch of facts. We're a strong believer that facts tell, but stories sell. Stories are believable. Stories are emotional, stories are heartfelt, and they're things that we deal with every single day. When we go into a workshop, we're dealing with a lot of conceptual things that happen and can happen in a family's life. What happens to you at 20, 30, and 40 is not the planning you would do at 50, 60, 70, or 80, 90, or 100. And so you have to know what's happening in those young people's lives versus what's happening toward the end of life, and they're two totally different polar ends. And so you have to be able to come in and conceptually relate to whatever age is sitting in front of you. And the best way to do that is to give them real life stories that are emotional. And they're not made up. They need to be ones you've experienced, or someone in your family has experienced, or one of your agents has experienced. You know, one of the ones I like that I've seen recently that I read, Rosalind Carter, Jimmy Carter's wife, actually made a statement and said, there are 4 types of people in this world. She said, there are people that have had caregiving and have done caregiving. There are people that are doing caregiving. There are people that will need caregiving, and there are caregivers that are going to need care themselves. That's the top 4 type of people, and that was so powerful to me, is you've either done it, you're in the middle of doing it, you're going to do it, or you're going to need it for yourself. And those type of things, when you can talk conceptually to people, they relate to it in a much more real way, and that's been very successful for us in a workshop. When it comes to long-term care, I'm a little bit sensitive to that particular topic. I think all of us have life experiences that can change our life, and for my particular family, long-term care has changed our life. Many positives with that, but also a lot of realities with that. And that is this: my particular family, I have 6 members of my wife's side that have either dementia or Alzheimer's. 6 of them. And one of them is my mother-in-law. She's had Alzheimer's for 14 years. She's healthy as a horse, but she's not there mentally. And so she's 86. That can change and impact a life. But even more so, that really brought it even more home to us, is that one of my sister-in-laws, my wife's sister, she's one of 8 children. She is 59 years old. She has had Alzheimer's for 5 years at 59. So, I mean, she got this when she was about 54. She had no children. She lost her husband 2.5 years ago, and she lives in our home 24/7. And trying to experience or talk to a caregiver, and if you've ever been a caregiver, you're about to understand what I'm about to say. It's almost like trying to describe your trip to Rome or to Hawaii when you've never been there. If you've never done it, it's very hard to relate to. But I will tell you, caregiving, when you become a caregiver, it will change your life, it will change your children's life, it will change your marriage, it will change you. It will change the way you plan and do the most simple, mundane things that you took for granted, such as let's go to a movie, or let's go out to eat, or I need to run to the store. Because that person that we particularly have a caregiving situation on, we cannot leave them. They are 24/7. On a scale of 1 to 30, which is how Alzheimer's is evaluated, 13 and below is severe. She is an 8. She can feed herself, but she cannot dress herself. She cannot bathe herself. She needs help walking. She cannot put 3 words together. I promise you that's a life changer. One of the things I tell my clients in our workshops is don't put your family in that situation. Do the planning now. People to get insurance on their home and their cars and their life. You know, they think they hope they never have to have a car wreck. They hope their house never burns down. They have health insurance in case they get sick. But they forget about the one that right now the Human Health and Resources Services says 2 out of 3 over the age of 65, 65% of all individuals are going to need some sort of long-term care. That means if you're married, the odds are one of you are going to need some type of help in activities of daily living. Do something while you can to get it. There's a lot of ways to do it, and there's a lot of creative ways to do it, but you need to get with an advisor that actually knows all of those ways to help you be able to help yourself and to be able to help your family in the end. There is an opportunity out there for agents that I think is sitting in their backyard and they don't even realize that the ball is there. It's been sitting there for a long time. We've begun to utilize this, and that is retirement dinners. That means an individual, one of your clients that you already have, has worked all their life. Some of these individuals have worked 25, 30 years or more at a particular place, and they're now retiring. And one of the things that we do is we ask those particular clients, we say, we're going to throw a retirement party for you. And here's how we're going to do it. We're going to book a restaurant, and we tell them to invite 10 of their best couples that they know. So that gives them and then 10 other families that can come. So there's usually 22 of them there, and maybe my wife and I will come, and sometimes another agent and his wife will come. And so we make this a big event. And what we do with that is we do something that we get all their names and their addresses, because that particular client that's retiring is the one providing those to us. I have seen people fly in to Dallas, Texas from Georgia, as well as other states. I have seen them come in from Houston, drive in from Houston. I've seen them drive in from Louisiana, different places, because that was a big deal to them, and they're honoring one of their longtime friends. And so one of the things we ask is we say, think of a story, whether it be something that's funny, whether it be something that is serious, whether it is a reflection on the character of the individual. Share one thing, and then we're going to go around the room and just have a share. And that's all it is. It can be whatever you want to say. Consolidate your thoughts, because we've got to do this several times. Consolidate your thoughts in about a 5-minute process, and then share, and we'll all listen. And I'll tell you, we've done that, and it's been unbelievable, because you don't have to script anything. You can't script what these stories are going to be. You'll learn more about your client than you've ever known, because you're going to hear stories from 20 years ago. The only thing we ask them to do is to introduce them as these, this particular individual has a company, and they're the ones that take care of us. We don't tell them to give them anything really other than that, because if they're interested, they're going to ask him, well, what does he take care of for you? What does he do for you? We want that to come from the client's mouth, which becomes very, very important. The only thing we do is at the end of the workshop, the only thing that we do at the end of the retirement party is we hand them an envelope, and it says on the outside of it, thank you for coming. Inside that envelope has our business card, and it has a letter that basically says, if you ever need anything from us, you need help at all, in any type of planning, insurance, whatever it is you may need in regards to your estate, we're a great resource company. We've helped this individual, and we'd love to be able to help you. Here's our number, here's our website, here's our email. Contact us if you're ever interested. And that's it. And boy, has that paid dividends. It's been unbelievable, because those individuals, it's funny, I think of one particular gentleman that came, we did a retirement party, and one of his guys came up from Houston, and we did the retirement party, and then he said, I'm going to be retiring in about 3 months. You think you could do one of these for me? And we did. And we wrote roughly around 1.7 million off those referrals, and we wrote the original gentleman 1.1 million. So there are almost $3 million written off of just 2 retirement parties. You can't go mail, and we don't do mail drops. We don't market that. We just word of mouth that with our clients and let them know we're going to give you a retirement party when you retire. So let us know before you retire so we can set that up for you, and it's worked great. One of the things that we believe strongly in is that every family has a driver. And what I mean by that is everybody has a role within the particular family frame. We believe in regards to the financial side, in regards to the estate planning side, the writing checks, the paying the bills. Usually that is one or the other, and it's not gender driven anymore. One of the things we try to do is educate people in the workshop is that one day that driver could be gone. And when that driver is gone, the remaining spouse is going to inherit all of that issue. And we actually have people that will hire us to be there for what I call game plan B planning. Because right now game plan A is they're both alive, they both have their things they're in charge of, but when one spouse passes away, the remaining spouse is going to inherit the rest of that. Well, the best time to have game plan B planning is when you don't need it. Because trying to find somebody that you're going to establish rapport with, build trust with, cannot be done. It's very difficult to do. I won't say it can't be done, but it's very difficult to do when you've lost a loved one. You want to establish the trust and the credibility long before you need that. And so we try to educate people to the point that we know that remaining spouse is going to have to now learn. And I'll ask them, have you ever paid bills? Have you ever sold a stock? Have you ever bought a stock? Have you ever purchased insurance? Have you ever made allocations, reallocations inside of annuity? Do you know how to take and when to take a required minimum distribution? Those are just a few of the areas. And most of those spouses that are non-drivers in that area tell us 100% of the time will say, no, I've never done that. That's not my role. Let me tell you how far it can go down to. It can go down so far that we have actually taken clients ourselves personally to the gas station and showed them how to fill their tank. Something that you and I may take for granted, but something that maybe that female spouse, her husband was always the gentleman that he was, took care of her. When he's no longer around, that person's not there. Well, what he's basically done is he's handicapped her to the point that she doesn't know how to put gas in her car. You may be called on to do something like that, and that becomes very important that when we come in as a company that we educate clients that death is going to occur. Most people don't want to talk about that. We bring that to the forefront, and it's not morbidity planning, it's just life. It's called life cycle. And we have to be prepared for it and plan for it. In regards to practice management, there's a lot of, I personally, the best way I can describe practice management is what I've done in my own particular company. I started off like really every other agent, by yourself. It's just me. I'm out there pounding the pavement, I'm making the phone calls, I'm cutting my own check, I'm doing all the paperwork, I'm doing everything, A to Z. Eventually, you have to say, is that smart? Because I've always looked at it as you're either doing income producing activity or you're doing non-income producing activity. And if you're doing non-income producing activity, which is a mistake that a lot of agents have to do, but they make too often, is they're doing things that don't help make them a living, but they have to do it. Have I totally rid myself of that? No, I don't think you ever do that in this particular practice. If I go take somebody to fill up a car, as an example, or I go help them do this or that, I may not make a dime off of that, but I do create client loyalty, and that becomes important in this particular field. But one of the things that I did is, as I started myself, I then brought on another agent, and then the agent and I worked together. They were people that I basically, to give you a quick story, I took one agent and myself, expanded that to another agent, and then I began to grow quickly to where I had a bunch of agents in a bunch of different states. And while I thought that was the way to really grow the business, really wasn't. It became a lot of hand-holding, a lot of babysitting, and it wasn't income productive for me. And so what I did is I actually pulled it back now to the point that now we have basically 6 agents. We have a staff of about 9 that is our support staff that helps us. So it's not a large one, but it's one that works for me. And I will tell you, if you have to do, the best advice I can give is you have to separate income producing activity from non-income producing activity and get people in your court that can help you with non-income producing activity. So to me, if I had it to do over again, I wouldn't have brought on the other agent. I would have brought on a personal assistant that could help me with paperwork and returning some phone calls and setting up some clients and setting up appointments and making some calls back that I don't necessarily have to make. So administrative first, Then once you get that person that can multitask, a good multitasker, then add on another agent, and then once that person, that multitasker assistant reaches their max, then you add on another one. And you do it in a slow, methodical way, because they're going to be able to help you with the non-income producing activity. Then if you want to expand to help you see more people, then you bring on other agents. But you have to know one thing. When you bring on other agents, it's not a quick process. They've got to eventually learn what you think. They have to understand what your thoughts are, what your philosophy is, how you act, how you react. And you're trying to get them to duplicate you. And that's very hard to do, because none of us are made the same. And so you've got to find as close of a fit as you possibly can. You may have to go through several agents before you do that, but don't just hire them because they've got two legs and they can walk. Hire them because they understand your philosophy and your integrity, and that they're representing not only the insurance companies and those places of business, but they're representing you and your company as well. We go through a normal week, and we have our normal appointments like anybody else has in a normal week. But what's been a little bit different for us is our Saturday appointments. We've had to incorporate Saturday appointments, and we're not just talking about it, we're doing it, and we're doing it a lot. Do we work all day and all night? No. We actually work a Saturday appointment from 9 a.m. and we would meet them at 8 a.m. if they wanted to do breakfast or something like that, but we try our best not to go past noon because we want to have our own family time, and we need off as well as anybody else in this life. But what has expanded and really pushed our Saturday appointments has really been the generational division within our client base. If our individuals are already retired, most of those individuals do not want to meet on a Saturday. In fact, they have Saturday every single day. And so for them, it's not that big a deal when we meet with them. Who we're finding is younger clients. Now, let me give you a quick background. Our oldest client is 103. We have another one that's 102. We have clients in their 90s, in their 80s, but we also have clients in their 20s. And so, big difference. And you don't do the same planning for all of those ages. They're all different. But what's happening is we've got as many as 4 generations of a single family line that we have done planning for. My mom and dad have always said, Mark, they're going to talk about you one way or the other. The question's just how. Well, that's what we all do, whether it's a movie or a restaurant or anything else that happens in life, a positive experience or a negative experience. And we've had, if we've gone in to help someone that's in their 80s or 90s, their children could be in their 60s, and their children could be in their 40s, and their children could be in their 20s, which is exactly what's happened to us. And by doing so, we've tapped in through referral. We have not marketed the younger age in particular, but it has happened because we tell people, look, if we've done a good job for you, talk about us. And that's how I prospect. People go, what do you do? How do you get referrals? I don't ask for names. We just tell people, don't keep us a secret. Talk about us. If you like what we've done, don't keep it a secret. Talk about us. And boy, has that paid dividends. And they do. But because of that, these individuals that they've talked to are not all retired. Many of them work during the week, and they've worked all day. They don't want to meet at night. Their best time for them is when they're fresh Saturday morning. And we've looked this particular year more than we've ever had. We've had Saturday appointments. And I don't mean once in a while. I think one time we looked at our calendar. We looked at one calendar particular section, and there were 6 weeks in a row of Saturdays. And then we had like a week off, and then there were like 3 more weeks. And does that get a little tiring? Yes, but hey, you do what you have to do, and I look at that as a great problem to have, and it didn't cost us a dime to do it.